What is up, guys? Coach Brandon here. And I'm really excited for this video because I'm going to share something that's had a tremendous impact in my life and has helped a ton of my clients as well. And also, as a bonus, it's really easy to implement. Like, you could have this going heading into next week and already be seeing a return on your investment. So always good when you have something that gives you that return quickly. Now, this is a system that I've developed over the years and then put into practice with clients to schedule and plan out tasks and goals in order to check in and make sure that they're accomplished. So it's really easy to implement. I just want you to follow along. I'm just going to start off by sharing a little bit of an overview and then take you exactly through the step-by-step really quickly so you guys can get this in place and start seeing results. So the main reason for this is that most of us are very busy and we have a lot going on that gets in the way of some of the things we want to do, right? So you're already doing a lot of things really well. I'm sure that you're managing your time decently. You're doing a lot, but there are some things that are getting left off your list that are going to keep you from getting to your goals, especially fitness-wise, health-wise, in a lot of cases for busy professionals. So when you're very busy, it's likely that things are not already habits or priorities are going to fall off. So we don't have time. We make time for the things that are important. And this is going to help you make time for those things that you're identifying as important by making them your goals. So just like you make appointments to go to the dentist or you make work meeting appointments on your calendar, we're going to talk about planning fitness things and other steps towards getting your goals on your calendar and then checking in to make sure that you're accountable to getting them done. So what I always tell people is that you need to keep your appointments with yourself, just like you'd keep them with somebody else. That level of value and professionalism that you bring to your work, you need to bring to the way that you manage yourself. So this system is broken down into two parts: what you do on a daily and weekly basis, such as adding workouts to your calendar, scheduling time for things like meal prep and nutrition, leaving wiggle room in your schedule, writing out intent, planning the week ahead, and then also your monthly, yearly, and quarterly check-ins as well. So anyone that knows me or has worked with me or has spoken to my clients knows that I'm really big on goal setting. But a lot of people like to set goals, but they're actually wishes because they never check in to make sure that if we're making progress. So setting goals is great. Most people do it at the first of the year, but the problem is they never check back in to make sure that they're making incremental progress along the way. So I'm going to show you how to actually have a check-in and accountability system so that you're measuring your progress towards your goals and actually hitting them. Bringing awareness to something is probably the most underrated way to actually see success with it. Most people will think they want something, set the aspiration, and not follow through and check back in. And that missing element makes all the difference. So I'd like to start talking about this process from the biggest funnel, the monthly, yearly, and quarterly, down to the smallest applicable planning strategy for the week. So it all starts with having big goals for the year, right? So at the beginning of the year, you want to make sure that you're writing out sort of where your mark is that you'd like to hit at the end of 12 months. So I break it down to 12 months and then also quarterly goals as you go through. And from those quarterly goals, you can break it into weekly and monthly tasks, things like that, which we'll cover in a minute. So when it comes to the yearly goals, you want to pick big but achievable goals. And that's a whole nother lesson in smart goal planning, which you can check out as well. I'll link it to this video. But when it comes to goal setting, I usually break it down into these 5 categories: personal health, fitness goals, financial goals, education and growth goals, professional goals, and then spirituality and mindset goals. And I usually ask people to choose maybe 1, 2, or 3 in each area. You don't want to neglect any area of your life, but you don't want to overwhelm and pick 5 or 6 things, because we know that each individual goal is actually broken into many steps or actions that need to be taken. So this is your North Star. So there's going to be a version of this that you would start with that's going to be yearly. And then each quarter, you're going to break down those annual goals into smaller chunks along the way. So the way that I say it is you're going to reverse engineer. So pick your goal. Say your end of the year goal is I want to lose 40 pounds. You could break that into quarterly goals of losing 10 pounds each quarter. And then you could break down that goal into the actionable steps that you need to accomplish there. So this is your North Star, your goal setting chart. And you're always going to check back on this on a weekly basis to make sure that you're on track with it. From this, like with the example of losing weight, we're going to break down the achievement of those goals into tasks. And now comes the practice of planning your week, right? Because we know that if we don't plan, we're planning to fail, in the sense that anything that's not made a priority is not going to happen, because we know that we're busy and other things get in the way. So we have to get those things on our calendar. And that comes down to the task list. So each week, I and my clients sit down. Usually for me, it's on Sunday evening at like 4 or 5 for 30 minutes to an hour. And I plan out the entirety of my week because I know that when I get busy and I get into the week, I'm not going to have time to be strategic about how I'm allocating my time. So when I have the time resource on Sunday to sit down and be quiet and actually think through the process, the pros and cons of when to schedule things, what's actually important, and what aligns with those goals that I set, I'm going to do that ahead of time so that when I get into the actual execution of the week, I don't have to think, I can just operate, right? So I use this system right here, and this is the system that my clients use. I write out a few things. So I always put the week ahead right here, and this is just a running list. So each week for the year, I can always reference back. And remember, these are aligned with our goals. So anything that's on this sheet should be getting us closer to these goals. If something on this sheet does not align with the goals from the previous sheet, then you need to reevaluate why you're doing the task that you're doing, because we already thought, we did the thinking ahead of time about what we want. So now our actions, which is the action page, should be aligned with the outcome that we're looking for. Now, I always start without an intent for a week. So it's my frame of reference or my lens that I'm approaching things with. It might be something like being mindful, make sure that I'm present with people, be patient with yourself, things like that. So it's the attitude or sort of the lens that I bring into everything I do. So for example, here, avoid binary problem solving, binary thinking or problem solving strategies. So look for sort of divergent answers to problems. That's my focus. So if I'm doing problem solving for, in a meeting with someone, instead of being like right or wrong or yes or no answers, thinking about multiple outcomes is something that I'm focusing on. The next thing is that I pick the big three. So the big three are the three tasks aligned with the goals that if only this week I got those three done, I would be making progress. So those are really big, important tasks that need to get done. So I make sure that I pick things that are aligned with my goals, and that at the very least, if I had to triage this week, shit went south, everything went downhill, I could make sure that I was getting these big three done and I would still feel like I'd accomplished something this week. Then I break down into somewhat the sections of the goal setting, the tasks that I need to do towards those specific goals. So remember, it's reverse engineered: annual goals, quarterly goals, and then the tasks week to week that are moving us towards the goal. So this is done on Sunday for the week ahead. My goals that I need to get done for work. So these are tasks that need to be accomplished, rather, tasks that need to get done during the week. Work, health, personal life, those are the aspects that I'm planning for ahead. I can literally check these boxes off at the end of the week and let myself know where I am. So as I go through the week, once I have these things in place, now I need to know that I have to schedule client interviews. I have to make sure that I'm getting 4 workouts in. So I put all these things on my calendar. This is an important step. Anything that's worth your time needs to go on your calendar so that it doesn't get taken up by something else. If we aspire or we wish for something to happen and we don't put it on the calendar, we don't make time for it, it's not going to happen. So once I have this task list in place, I literally go to my calendar right here, and then I put into the calendar everything that I need to get done task-wise. I allocate a time for it. I always overestimate by 1.5 times the time I think it's going to take, because I'm overly ambitious with my time. So if I think that it's going to take an hour to get something done, I always put an 1.5 hours or 2 hours on the calendar just to leave myself wiggle room there. So I make sure that I'm leaving enough space in the calendar to get it done, and that it's also on here. One other thing is that I've learned over the years, you have to leave some wiggle room in your calendar, because you're never 100% in predicting what you're going to be able to get done. So you want to leave overage time. And also there may be sort of a time where you feel tired or you need to recoup or just take a break for a second. You want to make sure that you're leaving that margin of error in there as well as you go through. So anything that comes from the task list, anything that needs to get on here, say I'm trying to hire a new team member, right? I can obviously, that's a bigger goal or bigger task that has many sequential steps. If I wanted to, I could break this into individual steps. Like, for example, going on Indeed and looking at resumes, right? So I could put like resume reading, and then the next day it could be like reach out to 3 people and so on like that. So within the tasks that go on the calendar, the time allocation on the calendar, you can break that down into the individual steps like that. Once you've actually gone through, calendared everything, now it's time to go into your week and actually execute on all the things you put in place. Now, the nice thing is, one, you don't have to waste any processing power on thinking about what to do. You just use your calendar as your North Star. And because you worked back from your goals, you know that everything that you're doing is aligned with the outcome that you're looking for. The other thing too is that no one is going to steal your time. You've allocated the time for yourself, and you're going to make sure that those appointments are met. So keeping your appointments with yourself is essential. You come first. Your ability to allocate the time for you allows you to be present for others. So make sure that you're scheduling time for workouts, time for meditation, time to relax, things like that. Don't let anyone take your time. Just like in finances, they say pay yourself first. With your time, make sure you allocate your time first. As you go through the week, you're going to complete your appointments until you get to the weekend and time to relax a little bit, and then returning to the next Sunday where we repeat the process. Now, here's the thing. We want to make sure that we're following up on the actions we took during the week, right? Most people will write out these lists or goals or anything like that, and it becomes completely aspirational, right? And that's the problem. They never actually follow up and make sure that they've done what they intended to do. So the important step that I use and that my clients use is we are vigilant in our follow-up, and that allows us to inform the next week's decision. So on Sunday, before we plan the week ahead, we review the week previous. What I have clients do and what I do is I go through and I give myself a score out of 5 in each of these areas. So 5 would be if I was able to go through and actually complete all the tasks, I'd get a 5 out of 5, right? If I did maybe one of the tasks, I'd give myself like a 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5, right? And I also will make notes if I didn't complete something. So schedule all employees I need to review, need to schedule last review. Right, so that's a note for next week. And then what I'll do is actually highlight this right here so that I know I have to come back to schedule a last review. So when I plan the next week, right? And I'll do that for each of these sections. If something is completed, I can check it off. If I need to do more on it, I'll leave a note like that and I'll give myself the score. Now, when I come to the end of this as well, I'm going to add a few things for reflection for the week. I'm going to add a win section right here. Let's turn this off. So wins and lessons. So the reason we focus on wins is that we want to make sure that we're paying attention and we're grateful for the things that are moving forward. Because sometimes when you're in the process of growth or you're spending a lot of time working on the interior of a project and you're not seeing sort of the larger picture, it can feel really monotonous and dispiriting. So it's important to focus on the wins. So I always tell people this is something you put into practice daily as well, but pick wins, things that were achievements that you overcame, especially moments where you were tested and you got through it. So being able to accomplish tasks, doing something you've never done before, learning something, those are wins. So you want to come up with at least 3 wins at the end of the week. The other thing you want to come up with are lessons. So people also often focus on wins and losses. I like to refer to wins and lessons. Lessons because when we make a mistake or when something doesn't go as planned, we want to take it as a learning experience and reach value from it. It's a cognitive reframe. We're shifting the way that we're viewing that. So when something doesn't go your way or as planned, instead of saying, being upset with yourself or being discouraged, you want to say, okay, what can I take from this so that this doesn't happen next time or it's more advantageous to me next time? So this is usually something that was disguised as a loss, but you want to reframe as a win, right? So three wins for the week usually, and 1 or 2 lessons to kind of ingrain as you go through, right? So you're going to look back on your goals, make sure whatever you completed checked off. If something wasn't, you're going to leave a note for next week, and then you're going to give yourself a score for the week previous. Now, once you've completed this, it's time to go into the next week, right? And now, because you have your template of the goals that you set, right? You set your goals and you have your notes on how much you progressed towards your goals from the previous week, you can formulate what you're supposed to do using this template again. So just start from the top, create a new week in the same document. Intent may change or it may stay the same. Your big 3 should be changing every week because you need to make sure that those are getting done, right? And then each of these sections, if you have something that didn't fully get completed, you can carry over the specific task from the week ahead and move forward like that. So just implementing this system alone is going to have a tremendous impact, because if you think back, I'm sure you set goals for the year, but when's the last time you checked back in on them, right? When's the last time you actually physically put down time to work on those goals? So just that act alone the habit of it is going to improve. And we know that when we start to put something in place and we practice it regularly, even if we're not super conscious about that practice, the quality of it's going to improve and it becomes a virtuous cycle upwards. So in summation, the system works from creating annual goals down all the way to planning the individual tasks that you're going to do in a week and putting it in a calendar. So I've linked to this video. I'm going to link my goal setting, smart setting video as well, and then access to all these documents. If you have any questions about goal setting or really want to get this system in place and have someone guide you with it, I'm happy to do that, or someone on my team is happy to do that. Send me a message, comment on this video, and I'll be happy to help you walk through this process step by step. Like I said, within a week or two, you could have this in place. And this is a force multiplier when it comes to actually getting progress made towards our goals. Guys, I hope this video is helpful. Please make sure to give me your feedback in the comments below. Send me a message if you need help with anything fitness related, planning, goal setting, anything like that. That's what I and my team do best, and we're here to help you.